Hey, welcome to Keep On Pushing TV. Yes, I am your host, Devon Harris. And as always, our goal hasn't changed. It is to provide you with inspiration. We want to inspire you and encourage you and challenge you to keep on pushing and live your absolute best life. And if I were a gambling man, I'd say that you're interested in that. So if you are, you're in the right place. Yes. So welcome to Keep On Pushing TV. I started out this year promising you that I'm going to not just give you Olympic athletes, I'm going to give you authors and speakers and thought leaders, right? Just some of the best people in the world. I didn't mention one group though, like real people, like ordinary, average persons, just like you and I. And today I have just such a person, man. You know, he has crashed and burnt, but he has recovered, and like kind of like the phoenix, he didn't rise from the ashes. He rose on in his words, a pogo stick. But he lives his message, right? He speaks from the critical space between personal and professional goals, knowing that true success lies in the engagement and the integration of the two. He believes this is the only formula you need to know. Decide exactly what you want, know what it looks like, get to work, and take action to make it happen. He calls himself the Motivational Firewood Guy. He walks his talk as authentically as he can, sharing repeatable steps to success, reminding us all that we have much more power to create it than we may believe. And so, man, he's a cool dude, a friend of mine, and I'm excited to welcome Steve Gamlin to the show. Steve, welcome to Keep On Pushing, bro.
Devin, thank you so much. If my mom printed out that introduction and put macaroni and glitter on the edge, she'd hang it on her fridge. Thank you. That was wonderful. I appreciate that.
Dude, that's just you, man, and I'm excited. Thank you so much for choosing to spend some time with us here on Keep On Pushing. So, you know, before we get into you crashing and burn, I know something about crashing and burning.
Yes.
Maybe I didn't crash as brightly and burned as brightly as you did, but before we get into the times when you crash and burn, can you take us back a little bit, Steve? Because I'm always interested in the journey, and I'd like to know, you know, how your journey started, so we can kind of see what lessons we can glean from your journey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in my early 20s, it was kind of a lost period. I graduated high school. I went to college. I graduated what my dad used to say was summa cum this close, which I barely graduated college. And I
Yeah,
think the biggest reason that I struggled, it wasn't so much that I didn't know the answers, is I wasn't really passionate about what I was going to school for. I was going for a business degree because I wanted to have my own business someday,
mm-hmm.
but I wasn't really passionate about it. And a friend of mine, isn't it amazing how friends can shape our lives, even though they may not even be aware of how impactful they are? My friend kept asking me why I never followed my dream of being on the radio, which I'd wanted to do since I was about 9 years old. And, you know, being a DJ, playing music and talking on a microphone. And
Right.
I had no idea how to pursue it. So I just kind of, oh, whatever. Yeah, I don't know how to do it. And
Mm-hmm.
it was just kind of a little funk, my early 20s. And this one friend kept asking me, and he says, look, you're broke and depressed, living on your grandfather's couch. You're just doing little odd jobs here and there. Why didn't you ever do it? So I finally reached out to a couple of people and said, how do I do this? How do I get on the radio? And a DJ that I used to listen to said, why don't you check out this school now down near Boston? So I borrowed money from my grandfather. I went to broadcast school in the summer of 1992. And 3 weeks afterward, I got an internship, which is, you know, not even getting paid,
Right.
at a radio station that I'd grown up listening to. And I drove to my friend's house. I hadn't seen him all summer. Drove to his house and he says, where you been? I said, radio school. And he got all excited. He says,
Right.
really? Did you get a job? I said, well, I got an internship. It might lead to a job. He said, where? I said, station we grew up listening to. And he was so happy and he was so proud. And 3 weeks later, he passed away.
Wow.
He had had cancer before.
Mm-hmm.
It gone into remission and it came back. And I was on the radio for 10 years. And it took me that long to learn the lesson. When I left radio because I was just burned out, I said, you know, when somebody believes in you and encourages you to go after something that you're really excited or passionate about, or that really touches your soul, when people are suggesting you do that, you should really listen to them because they see something in you that you don't even see in your own mirror yet.
Yeah.
Like, I bet you would love this. I bet you'd be great at this. I bet you would really shine doing this. And sometimes we don't listen to those people. So I encourage everyone to listen to people like myself and Devin and the people who value you, and to go for it. Even if you just do it part-time or just to get a little taste. You don't want to be on your front porch when you're 90 years old wishing you had
Man, I
tried.
wish I coulda, shoulda. But Steve, what do you think also, about this idea of, hey, if you have this desire, this passion, that maybe you should be looking to pursue it as well? Because here it is that you had a passion for radio, of some passion. You didn't pursue that. You pursued a business degree that didn't give me any joy. And we find so many people, as I was quoting Steve Covey earlier, they spend their lives climbing the ladder of success and get to the top and realize it was leaned on the wrong wall, as it were.
Yeah, very, very true. And so many people do that, and they have their reasons. Some people, and I've spoken with people that said they wanted to become a lawyer or a doctor, and I asked why, and they said because they make a ton of money.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, that can be a motivating factor for some. It's never been a factor for me. I don't just go do something because money. I go because something brings me joy and hope, and I'm passionate about it. And I know that I can provide value doing it, and that it's going to feed me to want to do it more. So it's never been, even anytime I've gotten a job, even when I was in radio, the first question was, what can I bring to this job? Not how much you're going to pay me to do this job.
Yeah, yeah.
Because money goes
Points
away.
you made there too. But, you talk about the fact that whatever you do, the job has to bring you some joy, right? Some fulfillment. It's not just about the money. And I think you're right. A lot of people, the first thing they think about is the money. And I think I want to believe that in the vast majority of people, at some stage, the money no longer fulfills them, gives them joy, and what lasts in the long run is how you feel and the value you're bringing to the lives of others, right? The impact, the positive impact that you're having on them.
Yeah. And we don't have to be perfect to deliver it. And that's one thing I also want to make sure we get in there.
Mm-hmm.
Not everything has to be perfect. I mean, believe me, somebody asked me recently, how did you get so comfortable on camera? I said, well, I'll tell you the honest answer. I shot more than 400 uncomfortable videos with a bad camera, bad lighting, bad microphone, bad background, just everything. I did everything without waiting for it to be perfect. And I've fallen into the perfect thing. I was part of a video challenge, 30-day video challenge in 2011. And the first day I did 25 takes of the video, and I hated myself more after every single one.
Yeah.
And it was terrible.
Mm-hmm.
But my friend who challenged me said, you got to post that video by tonight. You promised. So I said, I did it. I said, fine. Posted it and said, there, done. And I still hated it. And 3 days later, a woman reached out to me in a private message and said, I saw your video. How did you know I needed to hear that message that day?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And I realized it's not the lighting. It's not your face. It's not your hair or your clothes or your background or your camera. It's that you put something out there that someone found valuable. And that was the last time I thought that things had to be perfect.
Yeah.
Because I'm not perfect. Hair not perfect, smile not perfect, face, body, brain, kicking butt anyway.
Well,
that's the mantra.
No, it's true, man, because I as well describe myself as a recovering perfectionist. And because I've in the past strove for perfection. But one of the things I've learned, especially in my bobsledding life, and I speak about the fact that when we started, we were doing everything wrong, Steve.
Yeah.
And so the greater lesson is that you should never wait for perfection to go pursue your dreams, is exactly what you're saying. Because as you launch, you get smarter, you get wiser, you get better. And in the interim, you're probably impacting a life. You're bringing value to someone's life.
Yep.
So you got to the point where you said after 10 years in radio, you felt burnt out.
Yep.
So how did you make that transition to something else?
It was a very abrupt transition. I worked about 15 years worth of hours in 10 years. That's why I was burned out. Plus my other company, I was DJing weddings and corporate events every weekend. So I was just fried. So what I did was gave my notice at the radio station without having another job. I just quit, which shortly after ended my first marriage. And at age 35, without a full-time career, marriage ruined, and was nearly bankrupt. I had $62,000 worth of debt and nowhere to live. I crawled home to family to live at my dad's house.
Mm-hmm.
And I built a recording studio in his basement a year prior. And all of a sudden, there I am wondering, what am I going to do? And one afternoon in August 2003, it was very humid here in southern New Hampshire. And I went out and I hit a bucket of golf balls to just get out some aggression.
Right.
And I'm a terrible golfer. So if we ever golf together, if you want to be safe, just stand straight in front of me because I'll never hit you.
All right. Thanks for that tip.
So there I am. I'm hitting a bucket of golf balls way at the far end underneath power lines. And a thunderstorm came through. And so there I am, barefoot in the wet grass, hitting golf balls under power lines in a thunderstorm. And I took the club and I was just being sarcastic. And I just twirled it slow and looked up and I said, I dare you to hit me. Because my life stinks right now.
Yeah.
And of course, God did not hit me, for which I'm still thankful. And I finished my golf balls and I was just still frustrated about my life and mad at myself for everything that I did to cause it.
Right.
Can't blame anybody else but myself. And I looked and two gentlemen had been near me and they ran from the storm and left their golf balls. So I hit all of my golf balls. I hit all of their golf balls. There's almost 300 of them total. My arms were hanging at my side. I could barely lift them. And when I got to my car and opened the door, the rain stopped and the sun came out. And I just looked up and I thought, well played.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
And the next day I was talking with a life coach that I just started working with. And he thought that story was so funny that he asked me, have you ever thought of being a stand-up comedian or a motivational speaker? And I said, yes to both, but I have no idea how to pursue it. And he guided me in both directions. And I did stand up for 7 years. And I've been speaking now for more than 16.
Ah, that's awesome. So you said an important word there, responsible or responsibility. You said you were responsible for everything that happened in your life. And I think it's an important lesson, something that we kind of need to pause on, because people need to recognize, man, that no matter what's happening in your life, you played a role in it happening. And life doesn't just happen to us. We make it happen, and we have to take responsibility for it, because it's then and only then we can do the things necessary to change it. Correct?
Definitely. And in addition to the actions that we take that lead to things, it's also up to us how we react and respond to things that happen to us. I mean, so much is going on in the world all the time, not just right now, but all the time. We have to be very careful of how we react to things and how we respond to things. Because anything we do or say, especially on social media, can impact our future moving down the line. So we need to make sure that anything we do or say is really in tandem with our wiring and our hearts and our souls and our brains of where we want to go. We're pinballing around between world happenings.
Yeah.
We want to make sure we bounce in the best direction possible by how we react and the actions we take.
Yes, because that impacts it. Absolutely. So stand-up comedy, and then you transition from that to motivational speaking?
Well, I did them both at the same time. And then a friend reached out one day and said, look, I've seen your stand-up comedy videos. They're funny. They're not really dirty, but they are adult. They said, you might want to maybe think about leaving that and just focusing on the speaking, because if somebody were to see you in a comedy club, they may think that that's who you are as a speaker as well. So it became an identity issue. So I said, you're absolutely right. I appreciate that you cared enough to say that. So I stopped doing comedy. I took all my videos down. 74,500 views on my videos. So my
Mm.
finger was over the delete button for a while
Right,
thinking
yeah.
about it.
Should I do this or not? Right, right.
But
Why
it
am
was
I
the right
listening to my
choice.
friend?
Yeah. But it was the right choice. And what I did was I took the clean comedy material and I brought it into my speaking. So it's not just motivational rah, rah, rah. It's a lot of storytelling about lessons. And there's a lot of humor in everything I do as a speaker.
Yeah,
So it has really served me well that I had those 7 years to build up the skills. And I'm so appreciative to my friend, Coach Dan, who encouraged me with that one question to follow that and figure out that I could do something that made me very happy and added value for people.
indeed. So you're talking about how a friend helped to guide you, as well as a life coach helped to guide you on your new path. So you are, so I started out by just saying, hey, you're not what would describe as a thought leader. You're not an Olympic athlete. None of that stuff. You're just real. You're just Steve. And so here it is now. You're a motivational speaker who crashed and burned. Got divorced, was $62,000 in debt, and you're going to tell someone how to fix their life? How does that work, man?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people ask all the time. They said, man, you screwed your life up royally. What do you have to tell me? I said, the journey back.
Yeah.
Because I've had people say, well, what qualifies you to speak on this? You're not Tony Robbins. I'm like, well, I thank God every day I'm not Tony Robbins. I wouldn't want to be Tony.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to be me. And I'm a Tony fan. I like Tony.
Yeah.
I said, you know what qualifies me to talk about this? I lived it. And I took notes. I've been journaling for 31 years.
Mm-hmm.
And even now, if I go back and read something from back then, because of the way I write, I can emotionally feel exactly what I was feeling at that time in my life. So I can go back on the lowest points. I can go back on some really good points. I can see where I was finding my way and had a lot of questions. And I have all of the incremental celebrations as well.
Yeah.
Written down. And because it's in handwriting, I can feel my emotion and I know where I was that day.
What would you say is it? Because I hear about, honestly, I don't journal, and it's perhaps something a habit I should form. Um, for someone who might be thinking about journaling, like myself, what would you say is the biggest advantage of journaling?
It can be really overwhelming for people to say, oh my gosh, you write something down every day. I can't, I don't even know what I would write.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a great place to start. And this is something I've been doing for about 8.5 years now, is a gratitude journal. Get a notebook or a hardbound journal with all the blank pages. And each morning or each night before you go to bed, here's how I do it. I write down the date, I write the words good stuff, and then I write 1, 2, 3. And in less than a line each, I write my 3 favorite moments from that day.
Mm-hmm.
I don't just say, some people go, I'm thankful for my health. I'm thankful for my job. I'm thankful for my family. Well, how overjoyed are you after you just copy and paste that 30 days in a row?
Yeah.
So I write down my 3 favorite moments, and it has to be less than a line each. And what that does is that gives me all the high points of what's going on in my life. And I can read back even years later and say, I remember when that happened.
Yeah.
And I'm smiling while I'm reading it. And somebody told me, of course, there's always the skeptics and the doubters. They said, well, I don't have time to be grateful. So I said, okay, no problem. The next day I filmed myself doing the exercise. It took 38 seconds.
Yeah.
To put 3 positive things in. And I'm on pace to write more than 1,000 good moments this year.
Which is awesome. So here's the thing, though. I mean, it took you 38 seconds to create an impact, something that's going to impact you for a lifetime. Because what I know, although I don't journal, is that the things that you think about most of the times, and certainly when you express gratitude, when you look for good things in your life to be grateful for, you find more of those good things as well. So
Mhm.
38 seconds is not a lot to ask, for sure.
No, it's not. And what happens is, you and I are so similar, and I'm so happy that you reached out and invited me to be part of this conversation. When it's the end of the year and it's cold out and it's dark and it's that week between Christmas and New Year's, and people say, "Hey, Devin, I haven't spoken with you. How was your year?" You're probably going to broad brush it and say, "Well, it was good. It was good. I had my show. I did all these things. Yeah, it was good." But you're going to miss so many of the little things. And it can be so easy to say, "Well, it's cold, it's dark. I
Yeah.
guess it was okay."
Mm-hmm.
Whereas 38 seconds at a time, I've handwritten and intentionally captured more than 1,000 good things about this year.
Yeah. And especially in a year like 2020, I can see how that could be a really powerful habit to form.
Yeah.
Because you know what, we're not quite the middle of the year yet, but so many of us can't wait for it to be over, right?
Yeah.
But imagine that if you took your mind off and start ruminating on all the stuff that's going wrong and start focusing on the little things in your own life, which is something I encourage people to do. Uh, Focus on the little things in your life that are going right, how much different your perception of the year would be.
Yeah.
So you transition to motivational speaking. You are telling your story, which is authentic, and it's one of the things I talk about how important it is to be authentic. And when people ask me, "Oh, so who are the people who inspire you?" And we are all inspired by the famous names, right? Because those are the stories that are out there. But I'm also inspired by just the guy I meet in the airport,
Yeah.
who overcame a terminal illness, supposedly a terminal illness, and is living life, or the lady who just went through just a bag of troubles and have just is smiling and is joyous, right? And I think those are the things and the stories that most of us normal beings can connect to.
Yeah.
Stories like yours.
Yeah. And I've even had people ask me, "How do you come up with those stories you talk about on stage?" Like, really?
I live them.
I lived them, and I've crafted them over the years to have a message and impact and be memorable. And you never know what someone's going to, even when you just have a conversation with someone, that
Hmm.
they may pop back into your life. I had a speaking event years ago. I did 43 events between the state of Mass and the state of New Hampshire for unemployment networking groups. So people that were struggling, trying to find a new job and getting down and depressed. Well, I can't teach you how to write a resume, but I would be invited in a couple times a year to bring their
Yeah.
energy back up. Right.
Mhm.
Thank you. And I was at a grocery store once and a gentleman walked past me. I was in the Captain Crunch aisle because that was my favorite cereal when I was a kid. And a gentleman walked past and he
So
says,
was that
"Hey,
what,
you're the
40 years ago?
yeah, that was a
Years,
long time
40 years
ago."
ago.
So
Yeah.
this guy walks by and all of a sudden I hear, "Hey man, you're that speaker, right?" And I turned around and we're the only two people in the aisle. I said, "Yes, sir, I'm a speaker." "Where did you hear me?" He said, "The Acton, Massachusetts networking, job networking event." I said, "Oh my gosh, yes." I said, "What do you remember?" And he described the picture that was on the screen, the story that went with it, and the lesson that was part of it.
Mm.
I said, "Okay, here's the most important part." I said, "I'm so honored that you remembered me. Here's the most important part. What did you do with the lesson?" He said, "The week after I had a job interview and I went in and I connected with them with my eyes. Emotionally, we had a conversation. I didn't get nervous or look at my resume." He says, "And I got the job."
Mm.
And we figured it out. It had been 3 years since that event, and he ran into me at a grocery store and shared that, and I walked out of there thinking, "Wow, I almost didn't even stop at this store today."
There you go.
And I was
Really?
so I mean, that was 6 years ago now that I ran into him,
Yeah.
And it warms my heart that something I said, a story I shared, had that impact for somebody because they took it and took action with it.
Because you're making a difference, man. So Steve, talk to me about what changed with you fundamentally. What steps did you take to change your mind, and hence the actions that you took to get from crashing and burning to riding around on a pogo stick?
Yeah. Yeah. The pogo stick is one of my favorites because it just means, you go up, but you come back down, but you can always bounce higher the
Yeah,
next time.
indeed.
The biggest thing was when my life coach, Coach Dan, back in 2003, said, "Have you ever heard of The Secret?" And it was the movie, the DVD had just come
Mhm.
out recently at that time. And he said, "It's all about the law of attraction." And I asked him, "Well, what's that?" He says, "Just watch it." And I did. And it's about a 90-minute video. It's really good. It's powerful. It gives a very basic explanation of the law of attraction and how it works. A little too simplistic for me. It was
Mhm.
wishing they even had a genie in a magic lamp versus taking action. Now, about 2/3 of the way through the movie, there's a gentleman named John Assaraf, and for 3 minutes, not even barely 3 minutes, he talked about a thing called vision boards and how he would not only set a goal, but he would know exactly what it looked like so that he could connect to it emotionally and then take the actions to get there. It was like dialing it in.
Mhm.
And that was less than 3 minutes out of a 90-minute DVD. And that's the 3 minutes I latched onto. And I learned everything about how to see my goals and then how to become the person I needed to be. Like, for example, I'd been divorced at that time recently. I said, I don't want to just get into another relationship. I want to be the right person to attract the perfect woman to fall in love with. So I spent a couple of years, not even dating, really working on myself and my communication and um, how I would want to be in the perfect relationship so that I could find her.
Mhm.
And it just started to be that way with all of my goals. And I started to create vision boards. And then I started to teach vision boards because people kept saying, "Well, Steve, you're experiencing all this new growth and happiness and joy in your life. And can you show me how to do it? Because my life stinks."
So, Steve, we're going to talk more about a vision board, but for now, I want to understand this thing called visualization. What exactly is that?
Yeah, visualization is when you have a goal or hope or a dream, or you want to set an outcome that you want, is to know what it looks like. And so many people say things like, "Oh, I want to be rich." Great. What does that look like? Is it a certain amount of money in your bank account? Is it a place you live? Is it a car you drive? Is it a job or something that's going to make you successful or rich? And so many people answer me by saying, "Well, I don't know. I just want to be rich." So, well, you need to start thinking of what that means to you and what that looks like to you. And also the follow-up question I ask to that a lot is, why do you want that? Because the emotional connection to it is going to make that picture so much more real. And then you start to, once you picture it, it's kind of like having a pirate with a treasure map. You know where you are. You are wherever you're standing holding the map. Well, there's an X on the map somewhere, and your X is your goal. And when you can envision it and see the picture and start to determine the steps it will take to get there, you can achieve the treasure, but you have to be able to picture it first. I believe there's a lot of strength in that.
Indeed. So the chalkboard behind you says, "See it, be it, do it."
Yes.
How does that relate to visualization?
Yeah, it's the way I explain the three most basic steps to visualization. See it, know what it looks like, and be able to describe it in detail. For example, if you wanted to have a certain car, great. What color is it? What year is it? What
Mhm.
model is it? What color is the interior? Is it cloth or leather? What's going to be your favorite music playing on the stereo when you're flying down the road in it? And make it real, be able to see it. And then be it means you need to become the person that you will need to be to not only be able to enjoy it or achieve it, but also to attract all of the right people into your life to help you to become the right person you'll need to be to achieve it, and to also see the opportunities as they present themselves. And so many people, they talk about you and I, oh, you're lucky. No, we just became the people we needed to be to recognize the opportunities. For you to be a part of the first Jamaican Olympic bobsled team, for me to find the love of my life. And we recently celebrated our 13th anniversary.
Nice,
So
congrats.
we're not lucky. We
Yeah,
became the people we needed to be. Our antennae went up to be able to see and feel the opportunities. And then the third part, do it, is get off your buns and take the actions necessary to
yeah,
get there. You went through, you're an Olympian. I mean, you are the elite of the elite athletes. You didn't just wake up one day as an Olympian. You did everything you needed to do. Myself as a speaker, I've done everything I've needed to do to be invited at both ends of the country. I've spoken on stages at both ends of the country. That's not luck. We put in the work,
work.
and we've
Right,
also become the right people to be able to see the opportunities to take action on.
right. So I want to unpack that a little bit, those three steps, Steve. So
Mhm.
see it obviously speaks to directly to the visualization part, seeing it in your mind, right? So as an athlete, we use visualization all the time. Some of us call it mental rehearsal, and it is more to improve our performance in our sport. But what you're saying, and what I understand, is that you can also use visualization, i.e., these mental images in your mind, to create outcomes in your life, not that, in order to achieve goals, not just to improve performance in a particular area, correct?
Yes. Yep, most definitely. And I love that you said that about athletes in the rehearsal, because I've heard so many people talk about that they've, by the time they actually do achieve it, they've already lived it so many times that it was
Million times.
familiar to them, and they knew what to do and where
Yeah. So
to
how do you
execute it.
become that? You said be it, become that person. How do you
Mhm.
become that person who can achieve the goal? What are there any steps? What's working in your mind when you're
Mhm.
becoming that person?
What's really worked for me is to observe the people who are already enjoying the success that I wish to achieve. For example, when I first started, I wanted to be a professional speaker, motivation and humor. So I started to study the people who were out there doing it, and not only how they did it on stage, but how they wrote, how they shared radio shows they were in, how they spoke about what they did. And now in the age of social media, I go watch on their accounts and I see what they talk about, what they don't talk about, their way of being about things, their dedication and their focus. And everything I observe about somebody else becomes part of my plan. You see people get up on stage, well, they've got to be confident. Well, when I first started, I was not confident.
Yeah.
I stood in one place with my hands in my pockets and said, okay, I'm here to motivate you to create success. And I have a video to prove that I was like that. So I had to say, okay, these people are confident. Okay, I need to build that confidence within myself.
Hmm.
They do this a certain way. And I started to see personality traits and also personal skills that I had to develop to be able to elevate myself to a higher level. So clues are all around us.
Hmm.
And I think that's really something we have to tap into, is not only what do they do, but who are they when they're doing it? And what are the great characteristics about them that we can learn to make as part of ourselves? And that involves learning new skills along the way as well,
Right. Right.
that we have, training that we have to be a part of.
You used the word feeling earlier, and I see that as an important part of the be it as well, right? So when
Yeah.
you're watching other people, as an Olympian, I know that most of us Olympians are inspired to become Olympians by other Olympians, right? We
Mhm.
watch others and we see what they do, and so we kind of copy, because they say success leaves clues. But it's also, I think, that as you are imagining these outcomes and these goals, is feeling like you talk about the car driving on the highway, right? It's feeling what it would be like to actually own that car and be driving that car, or feeling in your body what it would be like to be confident on stage or be confident talking to that girl or the guy, right?
Yeah.
All of that comes into play, correct?
Yes, most definitely. And Jack Canfield, who's one of my heroes, he's the co-founder of Chicken Soup for the Soul,
Mm-hmm.
the Success Principles, and he is just one of the people that I've modeled stylistically. The vibe of what he does is what I wanted to develop, and I had the chance to meet him and shake his hands and have a conversation and actually thank him for the example that he set for me to say, I want to be in the same style. I don't want to be one of those speakers who jumps up and down and yells things that rhyme and bright lights and music. I want to sit on the edge of a stage with my feet hanging off and ask 5,000 people, hey, can I tell you why I do this?
Mm-hmm.
So that it may teach you to help, go after what you want to do. And Jack had a great practice early on called acting as if.
Right.
He used to have these come as you'll be parties. Say in 1985, he'd invite a bunch of people to a celebration and say, come as the person you will be in 1995
Yes.
and take on the role of that person and start to feel and tap into the potential of it. And I've always loved that he did that because it's not necessarily fake it till you make it. It's act as if.
Right, right. It
So
is
you get
that, how
to,
you say, be it. And then,
yes.
you got to do it, man. I always say, if you do nothing, you get nothing. You get exactly that. And so, it's not just about, visualizing, picturing these things that you want in your life, but sooner or later, you kind of have to get off the couch and go work up a sweat,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Do something to
Anything.
advance yourself. I talk about it because I used to love roller coasters when I was a kid. So I talk about it like, the old wooden roller coasters, not the jet powered ones they have now,
Mm-hmm.
where they don't hold a lot of people and they go click, 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 1,000 clicks before you hit the top. But when you go over the top, that last click that pushes you over, you get to enjoy all of the labor it took to get there
Mm-hmm.
for the next rest of the ride. The momentum carries you the rest of the way. And I've always explained that is a mantra with all of my clients is click, baby, click. Every time they do an action and they get a result, they tag me on social media and say, hey, Steve Gamlin, click, baby, click.
Yep.
And I know that they're progressing. And we celebrate by enjoying the ride once they succeed.
Right. Right.
And when you get to the end and you've screamed and you might have tears and your white knuckle on the bar, but if you really enjoyed it, what's the first thing you want to do? You want to do it again.
Again.
You set a new goal. You
Yeah.
click more. You put the right people in the car with you to enjoy the ride
Mm-hmm.
and have your back and celebrate and all be focused on the top of that hill because that's where your goal is.
So talk to us now then, Steve, about the vision board. How does that connect to this idea of visualization? What's a vision board? Why is it important to have one?
Yep. I've always called the vision board a wall-mounted GPS for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you have a GPS, you plug in the destination and it tells you how to get there, it plots out the map.
Right.
So what I encourage people to do is think of all of the areas of your life and not to be overwhelming, but to understand that they all have to work together because you're this one living, breathing creature. You've got your career, your finances, your physical well-being, your emotional health as well, your
Mm-hmm.
ethics, your morals, your spirituality, your relationships, your connectedness to the world in a real way. Because these days, so many people say, oh, I've got 10,000 followers on Instagram, but I'm the loneliest human being in the world
Right.
because they're not real connected. And what I encourage people to do is just start with one outcome you would like to see in every one of those areas. There are 9 major areas and one outcome. And what you're going to start to see is they all kind of work together. Hey, if I take care of my physical health, I can do better at work. If I do better at work, I can make more money. I can afford this nice home where I would like to be in a loving relationship and connected to my family. I want to be a part of my community. That's part of the connectedness. So all of these things are working together. And sometimes we see these workaholics who it's all about money, but what do? They burn out. And then they amass all this money, and all of a sudden they realize that they're not happy. They're not feeling the emotions they want to feel
Right.
on a regular basis. And some people call it a life balance. I prefer more to see it not as a balance of, but an integration between. And Tony Hsieh, the CEO of Zappos, is the first person I heard talk about it that way. So all
Mhm.
these pictures kind of work together to support each other, to define the person that we wish to become. And then once we get it together and it tells the story, we plot out our action plan.
So I guess what you have explained just now is how it works, but what does it look like? How do we put one together?
Yeah, what I do is I start off with a foam board. You get it like at the office supply store or Staples. The ones I work with are about 11 inches by 17 inches
Mm-hmm.
because it's a manageable size. I've had people come to me with a poster board that's 3 feet by 4 feet, and 20 minutes into one of my events, they're going, I can't do this. This is too big.
Right.
So, matter of fact, I've got one of mine here. If I shoot
Yeah,
off camera for a quick second.
absolutely.
Yeah, this is one of my boards from a number of years ago, and I had it here in the studio. It's a collection of pictures. The most important thing in my life is my relationship with my wife, Tina. So
Right.
that's us here in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Super Teddy, who was our dog. Daily gratitude. This was a workout goal that I had. It was called the Man Boobs Not Sexy Workout Tour. I've got a picture of me on the beach, which was a photograph that made me so joyful. And so all the different areas of my life are represented here. This picture here is a picture of a smiling yellow ball in a whole pile of angry-faced other ones. So to always remember, wherever I am, to be the positive source of energy in every situation and bring light into the world. So all of these little parts in my life working together to, by the end of the year, become the person I wish to become, and also have the things and people around me that I wish to have what I defined as a rewarding, successful life for me.
Indeed. So basically, anyone can put together a vision board. You just, find your favorite magazine, cut pictures from there that represent the goals that you have, or maybe scour the internet. Is that how you would suggest we do it?
Yeah, the internet is a great source. And one of the things I hear from people is, oh, I don't get magazines anymore. I read everything online. Wonderful. The internet is great for that because you can, once you see the vision and dial it in, when you see that picture, you'll know. And I have some people say, Steve, I have 5 pictures of slightly different goals. Which one do I pick? I said, okay, look at them all in a mirror and watch your face. The one that makes you smile the most when you see it,
Mm-hmm.
start there.
Yeah, cool.
Because some people, they cut out 300 pictures and go, oh my gosh, I'm overwhelmed. I don't know what I want.
Indeed.
I
So
say,
on your
do the
vision
smile
board,
test.
you just showed us a picture of your dog, and earlier we were speaking, and you told me a really cool, cute but cool, powerful actually story about your dog and visualization. So share that with us
Mhm.
if you could.
Sure. Yeah, Super Teddy was his name. He was part of my speaking career. We had him for about 10 and a half of his 11 years. He was a rescued dog, born to a stray mama dog down in New Orleans and brought up to the Northeast. Well, he became part of my speaking career when I started taking pictures of him and putting it with positive quotes, like things Super Teddy would say.
Mm.
So he actually wrote his own book. I did all the work. It was called Bust Out of Your Crate, Super Teddy's Top 20 Tips for People to Be as Happy as Dogs. And he was part of every presentation, every speech that I've given anywhere in the country, not in person because then nobody listened to me, but
Right.
on screen. And he would be there. Well, he passed away recently at the end of May. And the very next day, I saw in my news feed on Facebook that a baby giraffe had just been born at the Virginia Zoo. And one of Teddy's favorite toys, which I still have here in my studio, was his giraffe.
Wow.
And I thought, what a wonderful tribute to Teddy if we could suggest the name, because they were having a contest, suggest the name Teddy for this giraffe. So visualize. I visualize a giraffe pen, a giraffe enclosure with a sign that said Teddy, the giraffe, for the new baby giraffe. So I saw that in my mind. And then I thought, okay, that's the see it part. Now be it. What do I have to do to become the person who can make that happen? I said, well, what I have to do is be timely and not wait till the last minute with everything like I do a lot. Because I have to get ready to take the action. So I have to be aware of what the opportunity is. Okay, I'm going to have to go to their website. I'm going to have to get a credit card. I'm going to have to make a donation. Great. I'm also going to be the person who needs to share it everywhere to get as much support as possible, because it's going to take a lot of votes for his name to be considered. So got ready to do that, and was also ready and prepared that if it didn't work, I'm okay. I have not failed in any way. You know, sometimes people forget that part.
Yep, that's true.
So that was the being was that I have to be a person who's proactive and timely to make sure, not just I'll wait till tomorrow, Oh, well, I guess I missed it. And then do it. I went to the website, busted out my credit card for a small donation, suggested his name, shared it everywhere on social media. And all of a sudden, my family, my friends, my speaking clients, my vision board clients are sending me pictures of the reply email they got. Thank you so much for your donation. If Teddy is chosen, we'll let you know.
Right.
Well, a week later, I found out Teddy got so many votes, he was in the top 5 of the names in the finals for the giraffe. And I was already emotional just seeing that part because of all the love. And the next day, they had 5 zoo employees standing at the fence at the giraffe enclosure, each holding up a branch with a bunch of leaves on it, and each one had a name on their back for the top 5. Well, here's how they picked it. Billy the Maasai giraffe was the father of this new baby giraffe. Whatever branch he ate the leaves from first was going to be the name of his son. And I watched it happen live. And he came over, and I'm just thinking, Teddy, pick Teddy, pick Teddy, pick Teddy.
Right.
And all of my family and friends who were watching, he came over and he went down for the second one, and his head went right over to the Teddy branch. And then he immediately went to the one next to it, which was acacia, which is a beautiful word that means river.
Yeah.
So the judges were a pair of ostriches, and they said it's a tie. And they said, congratulations, our new baby's name, Teddy Acacia. Welcome to the world.
Wow.
So in the span of less than 10 days, saw it, became the person I needed to be, took massive action. And, it's never luck, and you're never guaranteed just because you do all these things. But what you're doing is you're meeting the universe halfway. You're making it possible for the outcome you want. And there is some of the unknown to it. And it can be random. And it can be good luck or whatever. But you're meeting it halfway. And we most definitely were ready when the opportunity came. And we're just so overjoyed. I've thanked them. We're writing them a special letter, making a special video, and just trying to keep Super Teddy's spirit. He was love in a fur coat. So we're just trying to keep that love and energy and positivity out there. And I was just interviewed by our local television station talking about it as well.
Right. But I mean, and I wanted you to share that story because I think it's powerful because it demonstrates how visualization work. And as I said, there's no guarantee. I mean, we as athletes know that we rehearse and we train all these years, and then there's something sometimes that causes us not to perform at our best. We get hurt or we make a blunder or whatever it is. But you're right. You're meeting in visualizing and creating a vision board. You're meeting the universe halfway. So Steve, if someone wanted to have you come speak at their event, perhaps in the immediate future to be virtually, or someone wanted to get your knowledge and expertise on how to create a vision board, how do they find you?
It's nice and easy. Every way to learn about me and reach out to me is on my website, which is motivationalfirewood.com. And it's all there. There's a little speaking sample video there. The Vision Board Learning Program is there, which is a very simple hold your hand, guide you through process. And there's even an article there written by Super Teddy called the Super Teddy 6-Pack with 6 of his messages from his book.
Indeed, indeed. So the Motivational Firewood?
Yes.
The motivationalfirewood.com. That is where you'd find Mr. Motivational Firewood here, jumping around on his pogo stick, just going from one level to the next, meeting the universe halfway, which is what we are encouraging you, challenging you, asking you to do as well, so you can live your best life. Meet the universe halfway through the visualization and the vision board. Hey, Steve, it's been a pleasure, man. I so appreciate you spending time, authentic, real life message that you deliver, that you live and you deliver. I think it's something that every one of us, because at some point in our lives, we crashed and we burned. But you're a living example of someone who did just that, but has risen again. So thank you for that shining example. Thank you for spending time with us.
Thank you so much. And the greatest part of this journey is it brings really cool new friends like you into my path. So thank you very much. And I'm very honored to have been a part of this conversation.
Yeah, man, it's been awesome. And, we're meeting the universe halfway and we're meeting each other halfway. So it's awesome. Thanks again.
Yes, we are. Thank you.
Thanks for watching. If you haven't done so yet, make sure you click on that subscribe button and hit that bell. You'll get a notification every time we post a new video. And don't forget, share it with your friends, man. They want to be inspired as well, right? So share it. Don't keep it. And before you go on to the next video, visit my website, www.devonharris.com. Keep on pushing.